All right, what up again, everybody? It's PJ over here. Joining me today is Zach, and I'm going to be doing some Madden Ultimate Team challenges, and we're going to talk about the Packers' win on Thursday night against Washington, and also thanking Jerry Jones. All right, before I start jumping into the challenges, show my lineup here a little bit, and actually remember to show the defense this week. But yeah, Green Bay on Thursday night, they win 27-18, beat the Washington Commanders. Hell of a first two games for the Packers, knocking off both the Lions and Commanders, who were playoff teams last year. So that put them to 2-0 for the first time since 2020. And the big thing going into it on offense, Aaron Banks and Zach Tom were both out on the offensive line. Ended up, not really hurting them, at least in the first half, especially. Jordan Love went 19 of 31 for 292 and 2 touchdowns on the day. Most of that yardage was in the first half. He was up to like 214 at halftime, which was his highest first half total in his career so far. Running game still getting going a little bit, but Josh Jacobs over there had I thought they were a pick. Jacobs had 23 carries, 84 yards, and a touchdown. As a team, they had 30 carries, 135, and a touchdown. And the biggest benefit at receiver was Tucker Kraft. Hard to believe it was his first career 100-yard game, but he had 6 catches, 124 yards, and a touchdown. And at one point during that game, he actually had more receiving yards than the Commanders had total offensive yards. So, between all of them, and then also shout out Malik Keith for that sideline catch that led to LaFleur actually winning the challenge for the first time in a hot minute. Offensively, a pretty good showing on Thursday night. I didn't really get to get your takes going into this one, Zach, because I jacked up my sleep schedule again. But how'd you feel on the offensive performance on Thursday?
I thought the offense did pretty good. It was disappointing that the first drive ended on the fourth down failure. Golden was open, but the pass was short. I don't know if Love underthrew it or if the wind knocked it down. Either way, incomplete. So, that was disappointing. But, drive 2, they just marched down there and scored a touchdown like it was nothing. We did punt twice, I believe, in the first half, right?
Yeah, somewhere around there.
And then we had a missed field goal, which was a longer attempt, but you would hope it'd be converted. And Jacobs extended his touchdown streak. So, overall, it was pretty good. Felt that they, in the second half, they may have, taken their foot off the gas a little bit. Maybe it was just good adjustments by Washington, too, or probably most likely a combination of the two. But then after they scored the touchdown to make it 17-10, they just turned it back on and went down there and scored a touchdown like it was nothing. So yeah, I think the offense is moving. Like you mentioned, Love had the most passing yards in the first half of his career. I would say it was a little disappointing that he ended up at less than 300 after having 200 in just the first half. But the run game did pick up a little bit more in the second half. And as you said, it's been kind of a disappointing run game, but LaFleur has stuck to it. And even though they're not getting tons of yards, they're still showing that they're a threat, because he is calling run plays even when they're being stopped at 1, 2, 3 yards. Like the, week 1 against the Lions, Jacobs had 6 carries for 8 yards in the first half, which doesn't sound like a whole lot, but we didn't run that many plays in the first half against the Lions. So it was about half of our offense. So I'm glad that LaFleur is sticking to it. I think that the run game is going to get better because right now it seems like they're keying on the run to stop Love, and Love is burning them. Hopefully, I know we lost Reed, and that was an unfortunate injury, which silver lining is hopefully this will allow his foot to fully heal. But I know we lost Reed, but hopefully that means that Williams and Golden will get a little more opportunities, and maybe they can start making some plays And by the time Watson is healthy and Reed is healthy at the end of the year, we may have a incredibly dangerous offense.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that for sure. Yeah, that was kind of what you touched on with the running game too. You know, one of the points I did in the preview video was, can they even get the running game going? And you know, week one, even though it wasn't necessarily a strong opponent for Washington with the Giants, they had held them to 74 yards on the ground, with over half of that being Russell Wilson on scrambles. So it was kind of like a, you know, can Washington kind of keep up that performance, or can we improve after, you know, the struggles against, you know, Detroit week one? Failed that challenge right there, but
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
if you look at the rushing stats for us, if you take out the kind of gadget plays for Golden and Williams, you know, it still wasn't the best. You know, 23 carries for 84 yards for Josh Jacobs is not like a really high average, but you know, he's grinding those runs out and it's keeping the defenses honest. They can't just abandon run coverage and go to the pass because we've abandoned the run. I will take 84 yards from your lead back if it's helping the offense. And through the first 2 weeks, it is.
yeah. I mean, ultimately, like with the offense, you want. I know they're trying to stop, you know, the run, make, you know, Jordan Love kind of beat him in the pass game, like you were saying there. Especially considering, you know, all the jokes about wide receiver threes across the board, pretty much. Like,
Which,
you
I
know,
mean, is
it's
still kind of accurate, but
yeah,
you know, if you have a bunch of wide receiver threes, you know, if you have a wide receiver three that's playing wide receiver number 5, you still got some mismatches there.
yeah, yeah. So I mean, ultimately, at the end of the day, as long as the running game can kind of keep, you know, plugging away at least and keeping it, you know, medium yardage, all that good stuff, I'm not too mad at all that. Mad at that sack that I just allowed, but that's, you know, beside
Yeah,
the
that
point.
sack sucked.
Yeah,
He should be better.
I should actually focus on the game instead of trying to talk. But yeah, and I mean, the other side of the coin too is, you know, on defense. Washington has a, you know, really good run game. Kind of addressed that a little bit with the you know, Jaden Daniels especially. You know, he put up almost 900 yards rushing last year in the regular season, and then ended up, you know, getting over 1,000 once they got through the playoffs and stuff. But you know, week one he had 11 carries for 68 yards against the Giants. You know, it was kind of a, how is Green Bay gonna, you know, slow them down? That was one of the other points I had in the you know, the preview and everything like that.
Hell, that was one of the points that I would have had if I could have done the preview video with you. Is can our defense keep Jaden Daniels from running wild? And they did.
it turns out the answer is when you have Michael Parsons, you can get a lot of pressure there.
When your defensive lineman slash edge slash linebacker slash whatever you want to call him is arguably the second fastest guy on the field at all times, it definitely reduces the ability of the opposing quarterback to just run.
Yeah, just seeing his stat line on Thursday night was absolutely insane. Because I pulled it up on Acme Packing Company afterwards, and it was like 8 pressures on 37 snaps. He had 2 tackles, including half a sack and 3 quarterback hits, and I was like, oh my god. I distinctly remember one play where they basically like triple teamed him, and it just looked like the Jaws theme song going off in your head, where he was still swarming and just getting there anyways.
I mean, that's
And
similar to the sack he got against the Lions last week.
yeah,
You know, he was bottled up and kind of stuck between the left tackle and the left guard, and then all of a sudden he just popped out
bolted.
and he was one-on-one, and Goff had no chance.
Yeah, and I think you know, you kind of hear them talking about it and stuff too, going into it, where it's like, you know, if he's playing great, you know, football, it's going to open up things for everybody else. And at the end of it, like, you know, Washington did not have a good offensive night. You know, they had 4 total sacks against the Commanders between multiple people. It was like Parsons, Cooper, Brooks, Sorrell was in there, Wyatt was in there, and Gary.
Yeah, I think Gary Yeah, Gary and Wyatt were both attributed for a whole sack. And then Cooper, Brooks, Parsons, and Sorrell all got half sacks. So, I mean, the whole defensive front was swarming.
Yeah. And that was you know, that was always the thing, like when he came in and starting to see all the gold helmets kind of running to the ball each week, like that, it's been a beautiful start so far. Oh, come on, don't put me out.
I think you know, watching the way the defense has played for the first 2 weeks, I think the defense would be swarming without Parsons.
Yeah.
You know, it seems like they're much more comfortable with the playbook this go round. You know, even when Parsons hasn't been on the field, you know, Gary has gotten pressure. Van Ness has gotten pressure. Brooks has gotten pressure. Wooten's gotten pressure. You know, pretty much everyone at some point has gotten pressure. Even when Parsons is, you know, snap counted to the bench or the sideline. But when he does come out there, you know, now Gary is getting one-on-ones. Van Ness is getting one-on-ones. You know, Cooper and Walker, you know, sometimes they're just not even being blocked because they're so focused on blocking Parsons that the whole blocking scheme shifts and it just leaves gaps. And then you also have that pretty funny clip of the Washington center just looking the opposite direction and Quay Walker running right past him.
That was
and
awesome.
it was like a glitch in Madden.
Oh man, I wish I got those glitches.
Yeah, no, they always happen when I'm blocking.
Blew that one up. But yeah, I mean, you know, the good thing too was like even when Ertz got going there for him a little bit, yeah, he shook the hell out of Quay Walker. That sucked, but they never really got truly going throughout the game. You know, when they got all the pressure and stuff going, I didn't get a tackle because I got a pick. That sucks. You know, Bullard was flying around. He was able to contain Daniels pretty well on his scramble attempts. So stuff that you would see Daniels break for 20 yards, he held them in check, and Daniels ended up with like 17 yards of rushing. Like I think
he
like
ended up with 17 yards with a long of 8 and 7 carries.
Yeah, and there was like 3 players that all ended up at 17
yeah, which
yards
is really
against us.
Weird. Different carry amounts, all at 17 yards.
Yeah. But then, you know, the pressure too also helps, you know, when you contain the run game, you get all the pressure. You know, the cornerbacks, which we thought were going to be kind of a weak spot going into it. You know, Nixon comes in, maybe a rough week 1, but this week, 5 pass breakups, which I saw the stat, I think, on Reddit. That's the most pass breakups that the Packers had since Jair back in like 2018. So, I mean, he was doing really well.
Yeah, I mean, the pressure from the front 4 is doing exactly what we hoped it would, which is allowing the DBs to make plays without the quarterback being able to just stand there like a statue for eternity. I mean, how many times last season, especially against the Vikings and the Lions, and to a lesser extent the Eagles, did we see the front 3 or 4 rush, nothing happen, and they just stand there and wait until someone's open, and then they throw it somewhere between 8 and 25 yards down the field to a wide open somebody.
Yeah.
Because the coverage unit just can't cover that for that long.
Yeah, once you get up to like 3 or 4 seconds, it's tough.
What kind of play was that? It bounced off his nameplate.
Yeah, running back hadn't turned around yet.
But now, you know, when you're seeing that pressure with just the 4, or even I think in the Lions game, we got pressure with 3 a couple times. You know, when you're able to get that pressure with 4 or fewer rushers, it forces the quarterback to make a play early, and it's either going to be a short dump off to somebody, which if you keep them in front of you, you're going to contain them to 3, 4, 8 yards, somewhere in there, which you would consider a win for the play because they didn't break a big play out of it. Or the quarterback's going to throw it away, which is a win, or they're going to get sacked. And occasionally they may run, but, you know, as you can see with the way we played Daniels, we kept him in check. 7 carries, 7 attributed carries for only 17 yards.
And I think about the only downside that we had in the game was really, special teams. They had those couple of
Yeah, they
real
had the big
bad.
kick returned, which hurt to watch.
Yep.
And then obviously the missed field goal sucked. Even though, the situation wasn't great, we still expected him to be able to make it at home.
And I'm more annoyed that he missed it only because we didn't get to 30, which would have kept that streak against Dan Quinn going into the LaFleur era.
We still averaged 30, so we got that.
We still averaged 30, but I'm sad. Let's get this first down here. Yeah, I mean, ultimately at the end of it too, like, if they can clean up their penalties, they can clean up the return gaps. I feel like there's going to be like a game this year if they can't clean it up where that's going to end up costing us. Got stopped like half a yard short on that one. But I mean, that sucked. Yeah, I think overall that's about the only spot that I would need to see us clean up a little bit. But yeah, I mean, outside of that, turnover-free game.
I don't even really remember any turnover-worthy plays.
Yeah, not really.
I don't remember any throws that made me go, "Ooh, that was close." In the Lions game, when we had 2, we had the great play by Branch that fortunately they got called for defensive holding. And then I think it was 2 plays before that one where Love just threw it to nobody and it bounced off the Lion hands. But I don't remember anything like that in this Washington game, which is great to see. I don't remember any fumbles on the ground, anything that even looked like a fumble. Like, it was a clean game other than the penalties. Although, I question some of them because I think it was Musgrave or Fitzpatrick, one of the two, got called for holding. And then in the replay, the defender's holding them.
Yeah, that was
and they're not
Fitzpatrick.
they're not even holding the defender. And he got called for holding because the defender held him so long that he fell down out of the play.
Yeah.
What is that garbage? And then Ertz got away with at least 2 offensive pass interferences that they also called us for defensive holding on, which I felt was, you either call both or you call neither. Like, you can't allow one of them to bully the other one.
Yep, I mean, outside of that,
That
230
hold was nasty though.
Yeah, that 230 yards allowed and 15 first downs. I had the quick note from somebody on Blue Sky. Forgot to write down the name, but that's supposed to be the lowest total that the Commanders have had in the Jaden Daniels era and stuff like that too. So
I believe that the start to the season is also the first time since 1995 that the Packers defense held their opponents to under 250 yards of offense each week.
Yeah.
I think that was on the TV broadcast.
I believe so. I remembered seeing that too. So yeah, I mean, overall, can't really complain too much. So I'm pretty pleased with the week 2 victory. I know you are too.
Yep.
And
the only thing I kind of hope right now is that the Lions blow out the Bears to show that they're still a good team, so that we can say that we beat a good team in week 1.
Yeah, I'm hoping to finish this damn challenge here and move on with life, but
we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, but yeah, for the channel, we'll kind of pick it back up with the Browns preview should be on Saturday next week. And then we'll do the recap after the game. I hope to God like we beat the Browns, because I will not stop hearing it from my in-laws if we end up losing to the Browns after beating Washington and Detroit. So
I hope that we beat the Browns because we should win.
That too, but there's extra incentive. I'm also annoyed. I was originally supposed to go to that game, and then it just ended up not working out. So if we end up going in there and bodying them, I'm gonna be like, that I could have been there for that. But
we all know that if you had gone to that game, we would be fighting tooth and nail to come out with a victory by like a point.
It'd be like a 24-22 type of game type deal.
How many games have you been to where we were clearly favored and lost? Or barely won? Nearly all of them.
Yeah. I do find it funny that probably the, well, shit, even Washington, back in 18, I went to that game as the favorite rain game, and all of a sudden it was, Green Bay lost by a couple scores.
Yep.
So I think the only game that
And
we've
the
won
Bucks a
comfortably.
couple times. Even
Yeah.
though the Bucks at Lambeau was supposed to be a fairly comfortable win, and that was an overtime game.
Shout out Brett Hundley. I still love the fact that my first Lambeau game happened to be with Brett Hundley at quarterback.
Yeah. Of all quarterbacks, it ended up being him.
I still love how, like, we had planned that whole trip, and then that was when, like, the very next day was when Rogers broke his collarbone, and your wife was so mad.
He was. I mean, it's fair. I think
Yeah.
she was more disappointed than mad. But yeah.
Yeah, she was just
It was
like,
still a fun trip.
she was like, I don't even want to go, and I was like, it's still gonna be Lambeau, it'll be fun.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of positives. It just wasn't on the field.
Oh my god, let's see if I can get this one done, and then we'll wrap it there. But yeah, I'm hoping to have the Madden 25 video out on like Wednesday or Thursday this week. So that feels like this teaser every single week at this point, but
Get
it
her
is.
done.
Yeah, it's been work this week has been brutal. I joke with Zach about it a little bit, and I'm like, man, there's nights where I'm just exhausted. Oh, Jesus. Well, didn't pass that one, so naturally it'll be like last week where I finish it like 20 minutes after the video finishes. But, yeah, alright. Well, we will catch y'all next time. In the meantime, feel free to leave a like if you enjoyed the video. Um, and just spam the comments with Go Pack Go. I know I won't be leaving here with you. Finally.